Hello again. We're here, we're alive, we're growing. Whew. And sometimes that is hard, and sometimes it feels really amazing. And I had a really beautiful message come through this morning from the Akashic Records that I wanted to share with you. So today's just going to be that. It's just going to be a channeled message, and I hope it uplifts you in the same way that it uplifted me and kind of just like opens your heart. So every morning I do some breath work, and the breath work is kind of what drops me in to open my channel to be able to hear messages and kind of check in with the Akashic Records. And when I finish the breath work, I do spend a couple more moments, as long as I feel that I need, or as long as the guides want me to be there, to kind of see if anything really solid comes through that they want me to share. And I actually wasn't planning on, sorry, helicopter, if you can hear that. I actually wasn't planning on making a video today, but they were really insistent that I put this out. So here I am. And it actually was so emotionally moving to me that when I was in the middle of the breath work, when it came through, I got emotional. I started crying, and it was really hard to continue breathing because, as you know, if you're crying, your nose gets kind of clogged and all kinds of things start to happen. So, that all just being said is because it was a clear, emotional sort of download. It's almost as if the message that was coming through finally within me was embodied. The understanding was fully embodied instead of intellectualized. And so I hope by me sharing it in this way that it'll be kind of channeled in a way that you can receive it and hopefully embody it for yourself. So as you know, it's almost like I'm speaking these as transmissions where the words are powerful. So I really hope that, and let me know in the comments. I'd love to engage and interact with those of you that are watching these videos. I'm ridiculously excited about that and super grateful. And I would love to hear from you guys, your thoughts, your feelings, where you're at on your journey. Maybe you're on a twin flame journey and that's how you found me and that's why you're tuning in. Maybe you're a spiritual seeker. Maybe you've, had an awakening. I would love to hear from you guys. Okay. That being said, let's get to the message. So this is actually going to apply. It was so interesting. At first it came through as like, this is for the DFs. This is for divine feminine. This is a message you need to hear. But then when I took a step back after channeling it, I realized this is actually applicable to so many people on this spiritual path right now, in whatever ways we're being asked to have faith, in whatever ways we're being kind of pushed out of our comfort zones and into truth and into more expansion of awareness. But I'll address the twin flames, I'll address the divine feminines at this moment. And if it resonates for you and you're not a twin flame and you're not a divine feminine, beautiful. So this lesson that we've been going through, this struggle that we've been going through, especially if you've been in separation from your twin flame and not had any communication, what we're really learning is devotion. True Christed devotion. And what I mean by that is that's a pillar of any relationship that is based in unconditional love. Any relationship that is based in purity with a Christed consciousness, the Christ-like consciousness that's coming onto this planet, that is here and available to us all now. That is what we are building these unions from. We are building a foundation of purity and of truth. And devotion is a huge pillar of these relationships. I know devotion is spoken about in Tantra. Devotion is spoken about in yoga, which I guess is a form of yoga. But these are ancient truths that somewhere along the way we lost. We lost the truth of what does it mean to relate in sacred union, to have a sacred relationship. Devotion is a pillar of that. And divine feminine, you may feel in the dark, you may feel lost, you may not know what's coming. It may hurt, but if you are still standing by your relationship, by your faith, if you're still walking this path, you are learning what it means to truly and unconditionally be devoted to someone, to be devoted to a truth so deep that it doesn't matter if you don't see the proof, that it doesn't matter if nothing is coming through in this physical world to show you so that you can say to other people, oh yeah, this is true because A, B, and C. Or look, here's this text message he sent me. I don't know, right? You're learning true devotion, to love someone unconditionally through struggle, through separation, through doubt, through not knowing, and to still be there. And this just embodiment of devotion cracked my heart wide open this morning in my breath work. It cracked me open, because I know in my personal journey with my twin flame, when we were in union, almost halvesies, when we were in physical 3D relationship, there was a part of me that was not fully devoted. There was a part of me that could not yet fully trust and surrender. And yes, it's this sort of, how our energies are working off of each other, right? So I'm not going to blame my twin flame for how he showed up, and that's why I couldn't fully trust or surrender. And I'm also not going to take full responsibility. Oh, it was on me, right? It's this back and forth energy that's going back between the two, and how we initiate each other into these lessons. And so I'm fully aware that although I experienced unconditional love and 5D periods of time with him, I was not in full devotion. I didn't know what that meant. I wasn't in absolute trust and knowing. I wasn't as deeply connected in communion with spirit as I am now, because I didn't have to be. I was still stuck and hooked into those attachments that are very directly related to the matrix, and to what relationship looks like in the matrix, which is based on a lot of codependency, a lot of attachment, a lot of the word that's coming through is kind of comparison, and how it looks, like the image of the relationship, right? And what you're projecting to others, what other people think of it, how they view it, still very hooked in that. But devotion at its very core is completely free of all attachment. It's completely free of all judgment. True devotion could care less whether you look good in its act or not. So you may look a fool to the 3D world. Your friends and family may be worried about you even. They may be concerned that you're still really committed to this person and this relationship, if what it looks like in the outside world, what they've done to you is unacceptable in this idea that we've created around what relationship is. So, and then another piece of this message that the guides gave, and I am going to address how this can be applicable to someone maybe not on a twin flame journey, but I'm sure you are all smart, intelligent humans, so you can kind of feel it already, but I will address that. But the second part of the message was, they showed me devotion in the form of animals and our animal companions, and animals in general, wild animals. They have this deep reverence and devotion to their wildness, is what's coming through, to their mates, to their young. Even animals that don't, because not all animals, but typically when we, maybe I'm more addressing mammals, there is this devotion and this unconditional quality. And then if we relate to our animal companions, they really teach us what unconditional love is. If you're lucky enough to walk the earth with a pet of some kind, that feeling of devotion and love. And we are really getting that opportunity to embody that knowing for ourselves, to be able to experience what it's like to give it. Because if we have a pet, we've been receiving it, but we may not have been actually giving it fully, right? Because there may be a block there, that something we're not even aware of, that we can't quite fully give it. And it's this idea of giving with no need to receive. If you look at, the divine feminines that may be in separation, you are still showing up and giving and loving unconditionally without receiving anything at this moment, at least not in the 3D. You may be receiving in the 5D. I hope you are. But it's this overflowing of unconditional love and abundance and Christ consciousness within your heart, within your soul, that you can give it freely. That is true devotion. And just a beautiful example of that are our animal friends. And if we talk on a higher level, when I was trying to connect it with the wild animals, and I don't know if I did as well of a job, but these animals are in devotion to humans and to human consciousness. They are in sacred contracts to be on this planet to teach us humans so that we can raise our consciousness and vibration. Do you think that cows want to be here, being slaughtered and enslaved? No, it's not like they want to be doing it, but they are doing it out of devotion to Gaia, devotion to humanity, devotion to the potential for ascension, and teaching us about compassion, teaching us about sacrifice, teaching us about devotion. So every soul that comes and incarnates here is really a part of this, Either they're here to learn or they're here to give. And I do believe that our animals, the animal kingdom, is here to give and here to really teach us about devotion. Okay, so let me just address briefly how it could be relayed if you're maybe not you're not watching these videos from a perspective of like relationship and sacred union. A devotion to yourself, a devotion to your ascension and your truth at all costs, no matter what. A devotion to your sovereignty, no matter what. No matter what you're seeing in the outside world, no matter what fear, control, energy siphoning, doubt that you may be experiencing, that we all may be experiencing, you are still devoted to compassion. You are still devoted to truth. You are still devoted to sovereignty, yours and others. You are still devoted to harmony and coming together and holding these higher timelines in your mind and in your heart space, meditating on them, visualizing them, believing that there is a greater ascension that we're moving to, and we have to go through this dark night of the soul. We have to go through some tricky, treacherous terrain to get there. But staying in devotion, even when it's hard, even when we can't see the light at the end of the tunnel. And I was talking very big scale, collective, what's going on out in the world. But you could relate this in your personal life. There may be something that you're really working on individually, like a goal, getting on mission, starting a business, moving. Maybe there's a place that you've always seen yourself living and, COVID threw a wrench in those plans, and now you're like, how do I get from A to B? Staying devoted to your path, staying devoted to your truth, and trusting that you are going to be revealed each next step at the exact right time that you're meant to, as long as you're staying in a space of devotion. And if you're in a space of devotion, you're in a space of unconditional love. And when you're in a space of unconditional love, you are untouchable. You cannot be fucked with. You just can't. Now, to stay in a frequency of unconditional love is a lot harder to do, right? We have things that come into our awareness that knock us off for a moment, but that's okay. That's just part of being human. That's just part of the agreement to come down to this sort of dense 3D world, is that we know we're always going to be evolving. We're always going to be getting opportunities to ascend higher. And the harder that those challenges are, the harder the challenges are that present themselves to us, the more we ascend, the more we grow. So for you, it could look, you could be at a very beginning stage on your journey, on your spiritual ascension. So maybe for you, the really challenging things that are coming up is realizing the job that I have, the work that I do in the world is actually not in alignment with who I am. I don't feel comfortable selling, garbage food to people anymore. It's just an example that came up. Whatever it is, whatever business you're in, whatever work you're doing, or, I don't feel comfortable trading my time for money and getting paid peanuts anymore. Like, this is not aligned with my higher truth, and I know it. Or there's people in my field, there's people in my world that I can love them unconditionally, but also recognize that they're not for me anymore. And it's when you start to recognize those things and you start to actually take action from a place of unconditional love and changing your energy field and changing what's coming up in your world, that's devotion. That's devotion to your sovereignty. That's devotion to your truth. That's devotion to your humanity and your ability, to feel joy. That's devotion right there. So I think anyone can relate to that. And there's a difference between intellectualizing it and embodying it. I'm going to be talking about this a lot in the content that I share, because I've learned in my own spiritual journey that there's a lot of things I could intellectually understand. I'm a very, very heady person. I'm an Aries, so I just very intellectually stimulated all the time. So much information going in and out. And then in human design, I have a defined Anja and defined head center. So if you know at all about human design, I just have a very active mind. And so I would understand all these concepts, intellectually, but it wasn't until I experienced a somatic, which is an embodiment exercise of some kind, or I experienced it in my life through hardship, through pain, unfortunately, or through difficulty, that I really could embody its wisdom and its knowledge. It's when the knowledge became wisdom, right? It's when once it's really in your bones and in your soul, that is embodiment. And we can get there through things like breath work, through things like movement, anything that really connects and gets us out of our head, right? We really need to, as humans, work to get out of our head and into our bodies and into our hearts, because that's where our truth lives. Our truth does not live in our head. Our head is what gets us into trouble. It's a tool and we can use it, but we have to make sure that we are using it and it is not using us. And that's a great parallel to technology. But again, I'm getting off on tangents. Maybe these are videos I will do at another time, but that is the message. It's all about devotion. It's all about tuning into that heart space and that Christed consciousness within you that only knows unconditional love. That's all it knows. And so it has unconditional love for yourself and devotion for yourself, number one. And guess what? Those on the twin flame journey, if you have devotion for yourself, you have devotion for your twin, because you are the same soul. So there is an just overflowing of love. And if your twin is not necessarily feeling that unconditional love for themselves yet, and they're not necessarily feeling that ability to be devoted to you in the physical yet, guess what? When you step into that and you embody that, they are not far behind, because it's impossible for them to not be if you are the same soul and you're sharing the same love. So yeah, that's the message, and I hope it resonates. If you have any questions or you want to comment or you have ideas around it, I would love to hear. So please comment below. It's a really fun way to engage. Please like this video. It really helps it get spread and seen by more people. And if you like the channel, please subscribe. That way you'll get to see whenever I have a new video, and we'll grow this community to be hopefully a really supportive place for ideas, spiritual ideas, and kind of, just sharing with like-minded individuals at this precipice of change, massive change happening on the earth, in the earth right now. So yeah, I'm so glad you're here. I hope that message warms your heart like it did mine, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye.